Dr. Heckela. I understand that you boys have been having some sort of conflict ever since your first encounter. Can either of you explain to me what's changed since before and after meeting one another? Duncan, Delit, and Darius sat on a sofa in the counselor's office. Duncan gave Delit eye contact while Darius threw his hand out in front of Duncan, attempting to prevent them from looking at one another. There was no attention brought to the fact that half of Darius's face is covered by a large blue bruise. His freckles were barely visible beyond the bruise. The counselor wrote something down on her clipboard, legs crossed. She eyed each boy separately, awaiting an answer. But Delit could only shrug his shoulders, Darius shook his head, and Duncan raised a brow. Darius changed. Darius punched Duncan's shoulder before getting restrained by Delit, who pulled him back. Darius raised his foot, almost about to kick Duncan like a horse. Dr. Heckela, that's enough. Do any of you know why I'm here? Darius, to counsel us? Duncan, hey, that's what I was going to say. Darius turns to Duncan. With his bangs covering most of his features, it's hard to see the sour face that might be lying underneath. Delit, I thought we were here to bond. Dr. Heckela, all three of you are incorrect. There's an incident that took place last night. Students rushing to the nurse's office and parents reporting that their children's faces have turned blue. Delit, isn't that a little graphic for therapy? Dr. Heckela, this is the first time this incident has ever happened, and some claim that this might have something to do with your dynamic. And we have to remember that Darius's dear friend Elliot has also been attacked by either you or Darius. I'm not writing Duncan off just yet. Duncan, this feels incredibly unprofessional. Dr. Heckela, it was never supposed to be professional. The school has notified the authorities, but the authorities refused to take the case seriously. And by the looks of things, all three of you reckless kids have injuries on you. Duncan, I'm looking at you. Why are you covered in claw marks? It's Duncan's turn to glare at Darius. Darius shakes his head as if absent on the fact that he was responsible for those injuries, pouting his lips as if they're not still swollen like a fish. Dr. Heckela, you look like you got into a fight with an alley cat. I'm afraid whoever's doing this might end up killing one of the boys, or worse, coming for the girls. Darius, right, because the boys getting hurt like that isn't scary enough. Delit, wait a minute, what if we found out who did that? I found Hank on my way home. Darius, you mean on your way to Duncan? Delit, Darius, shut up. Duncan, oh, you were coming to see me? That's so cool. Delit, before I thought you were the one who did that to Hank. Dr. Heckela, all three of you, please. Delit, what were you saying about finding out? Delit, well, if we interview the students, then we could fit more in. We could get away with much more than what the police could. I can find at least 3 excuses off the top of my head why their knuckles would be purple. A, they're boys. B, gym class is brutal. C, there's a playground fight scheduled every other afternoon. And Duncan's knuckles look like he put them in a blender. Delit turned over to Duncan, his shoulders shrugged. Delit, we need someone who can communicate with them. The counselor sighs. Dr. Heckela, fine, if you're certain. I won't get involved. Delit, thank you for trusting us, Dr. Heckela. During lunch period, Darius kept his attention on Delit while Delit was still paging through a yearbook, trying to search for a candidate based on last year's graduates. He put a blue sticker on the heads of each student that ended up getting stitches on their face or had to stay home due to the swelling preventing them from seeing anything. Blue faces, in other words. Delit, all right, is Elliot a blue face? Darius, no, but I don't think he's going to talk to us. Darius put his arm on Delit's shoulders. Delit only raised his head to take into account all the various faces placed across the cafeteria. Delit, we'll start with Theodore Lincoln. He's the first one in class to have the Apple achievement. I'm sure he's super smart. Hank, Delit! He saw Hank across the cafeteria waving him over from his usual lunch table where he'll sulk if he has nowhere else to go, apart from what he did the last time. Sitting with Roderick, Jeff, Amanda, and Rio. Delit, give me a second. Delit slipped out from Darius's embrace, which on accident left Darius and Duncan standing alone in front of the cafeteria, both eyeing each other from the side. Delit, hey, how do you feel, Hank? I'm so sorry about what happened to you. Hank, nah, it's fine. He still had those bruises spread from the side of his jaw towards the cut sitting on the bridge of his nose. He looked almost like his skin was meant to be purple if it weren't for his neck being a lighter shade of orange. Roderick, Yo, this kid been dissing us, keeping them coins rolling off the cliff? Delit. Never, Roderick. I've just been incredibly busy as of recent. See, Darius, Duncan, and I are on a bit of a... Hank, did you hear about Fight Club? Delit. The what now? Jeff. It's been making so much money. I keep getting Orion. One of these days he's gonna flop, but I won't stop betting him. Delit. I'm sorry, what? Hank. It started yesterday. We were all so stoked when you and Duncan gave the council members the idea. They were like, great money and great purpose. Since we'll all be hitting each other anyway, this is just for reassurance. Delit. You mean... Delit squinted his eyes, pinching his chin. He followed Jeff down towards the back of the school where a hill separates them from a small playground covered in dirt. No grass in sight, and the trees produce great shade from not only the sun, but potential witnesses. He took Duncan and Darius with him, watching as some of the other boys started gathering around them. A group of 4 stepped forward, bumping each other's fists and laughing excitedly. Steph, this is so cool! Welcome to the Fight Club! It's so much fun, and we'll never get caught! Delit, you have 7 students walking around with fatal injuries. Steph, my bad, Ivan and Desmond get a little too rough, but we kicked them out since they wouldn't stop bashing the faces. Desmond's headed for counseling anyway. Delit, you guys can't be serious. This is incredibly dangerous. Darius, and really smart. Delit turned his head to face Darius. He turned his own head to have the side of his head be Delit's only way of glaring Darius down. Duncan, I'm with Ginger. This looks cool. Can I join? Steph, hell yeah, this idea came from you two. We saw you hitting each other like it was nothing, and we thought that was crazy. No way would Delit ever want to talk to you again. Then you guys started hanging out during lunch. I was like, hell yeah, man. I mean, ain't the battles making them brothers? Delit, you guys are fighting each other for fun? Where did the bets come from? Steph, oh, we don't do bets, man. The council thought it would be a good idea to invest some capital into our habitat, and now we can afford first aid kits and stuff like that. Don't worry, the blue faces, they're rare cases. You guys want to try? The other boys shout in union. Like a tribe of barbarians, they start screaming both Delit and Duncan's name at the same time. Unaware of who is screaming which name, Duncan grabs the back of Delit's neck and pushes him towards the patch of dirt. He holds both of his fists like a cage fighter, and Delit pauses. Delit, wait, Duncan, I still have bruises. Duncan, so you'll get back up tomorrow. The crowd went cheering for Duncan's violent sentence. Then Darius jumped in between the pair, throwing his hands out, yelling for silence. They all hushed down as Darius pointed his broken wrist at Duncan. Darius, I want to fight him. Steph, I don't know if that's such a good idea, but the council said they'd have safety guidelines for us tomorrow, so have a blast! 2 of the other boys pulled Delit back, holding him in the crowd. Delit, wait, Duncan, Darius, this is a really bad idea! Jeff, relax, Delit. That's the best part about Fight Club. You survive the rink, you become best friends. That's what you and Duncan inspired us with. Friendship. Hank, when you say it like that, it almost sounds twisted, but I know it's not. They watched as Duncan threw the first fist towards Darius's abdomen. Darius grabbed the wrist of Duncan's arm, almost jumping over it, and then threw his leg back, kicking him in the jaw. He threw him forward, but Duncan rolled onto his back and then onto his feet. He skid his feet against the dirt and twisted around on his knees, jumping out of his folded position like a frog leap. He threw Darius to the ground, tackling him. Darius grabbed the arm that was choking him around the throat. Duncan threw his ribs down into the ground and held him down with his knees, straddling him from his backside. Darius tried crawling out from under, but Duncan grabbed his throat, twisting his spine over his knees. The scream Darius let out made Delit want to jump in between them and stop this, but they kept their grip around his neck, his wrists, and his shirt, pulling him further back. Darius spat in Duncan's face. His grip forced Darius's wrist forward. He kicked him between the legs as he managed to squirm out from under him. He rolled towards the corner as Duncan was clutching his crotch, rocking himself on the ground. The other boys circled Duncan, preventing Darius from doing any more damage. Steph stepped out from the circle, shaking his head. Steph, no, not cool, little dude. But guess what? Since we don't have rules yet, we can't exactly penalize you. But the bro code rule is always to have the intuition of a godfather. Don't kick the kids, man. Darius released a sigh, twisting the joints in his elbows to try and regain some nerve functions. He gets his abdomen wrapped by Delit, who pulls him into a hug. Darius grabs his wrist and shoves him backwards, which delivers no passive-aggressive signaling to Delit's understanding. He follows behind Darius as he stomps back towards school grounds. Delit, Darius, I was so worried there for a moment. You made it look like you were gonna pass out. Darius, doesn't matter. Delit, what doesn't matter? Darius, you could have broken my back and I'd get called out for kicking his groin. Delit, it's called Blueface Fight Club, but I didn't think it would care about things like that. Darius stopped right in front of the school's sports field. He turned around and let Delit read his expression, which is halfway harder since his bangs cover the most important parts of an expression. Darius, did you just make that up? Delit nodded. Darius laughed. Darius, Blueface Fight Club? Seriously? Delit, makes sense. You end up looking blue after you're done, and they like aiming for the face. I'm assuming the council members are going to make a rule about no facial blemishes once they finish the list. Darius takes a step towards Delit. Delit slips his hands in his pockets, giving Darius one of the brightest smiles he's been able to manage all day. Darius, you have a nice smile. Delit, what? Darius raised his fist with a split-second spike of momentum granted by the opportunity of ignorance. He threw his fist in Delit's face, colliding with his cheekbone. His head was thrown out of view as Darius turned his back to Delit and sprinted off back towards academic civilization. It would soon be nothing more than a blue bruise. Then Delit would be a blue face as well.